They would bring to order the August 17th legislative meeting of Media Borough Council. Would you please rise to salute the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As evident, anyone in the audience and anyone at home will see that we are missing our council president tonight, Mr. Hall, and Mr. Williamson. They are not able to make this evening's meeting, so hopefully we'll get out of here at a relatively early time. Some housekeeping matters that we first have to resolve before we go into the agenda. The chair would accept a motion to approve the workshop minutes of July 13th, 2017.
So moved.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion or corrections with regards to the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of passing the minutes of July 13th, 2017, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. We also had a public hearing on July 20th prior to our legislative meeting. The chair would accept a motion with regards to the minutes, passing the minutes with regards to the public hearing of July 20th.
So moved.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor of passing the public hearing minutes of July 20th, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. Last but not least is our legislative meeting of July 20th, 2017. Do I hear a motion to pass the minutes as submitted?
So moved.
Motion, second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion with regards to the motion? All those in favor of passing the minutes of July 20th, 2017, please say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. We will now go into public comment and privilege of the floor. Anyone who would like to address council, please come to the microphone, state your name and your address.
I'm Michael York, 303 South Avenue. My comment is to Mr. Mayor. I was at a rally on Sunday in front of the courthouse in support of pushing back against these knucklehead hate groups. You were kind enough to make some comment to the group, and when this I appreciate it. Many times we can push back. I think it's important we do. I don't know if you were talking for the borough or just your own heart, but I think it was great you did that, and I thank you.
I did not know I was going to be a speaker until someone suggested that I did, so it was off the cuff, and I had the privilege of following Dave who was extremely passionate about the borough, and said some of the things I was going to say, but I just went off of what he said. He actually fell off the chair while he was doing it and kept talking from the ground. So that was passion. I had a little bit of passion, but I didn't have the passion that Dave had. So it was a great day for media. We've had a lot of rallies, and that was one of the best.
Any other public comment? Hearing none, we'll get into our agenda items. Engineers report. Mr. Engineer.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Just a few items to report. We did receive the schedule from the contractor who will be doing some of the work over at the garage. They intend to do some restoration work next week, next Thursday and Friday. We've been in coordination with the police and public works to make sure that things go smoothly. As I'll be out there and make sure that all the work is done per the spec. I can certainly touch on the presentation I just gave a few minutes ago for the MS4. Tonight we had a public hearing for the pollutant reduction plan for the MS4 requirements. Again, this plan is on the borough website. It's a requirement of the DEP. All of our neighbors in Delaware County also have to submit a very similar plan. It's a plan to reduce pollutants into the streams. Feel free to take a look at it, Media Borough website. Also, we did receive the final plans for the CVS to be signed and executed. They had their pre-construction meeting, so CVS would like to get rolling as far as construction as soon as possible. So as soon as the final plans are signed, sealed, and recorded at the courthouse, I would expect that you'll see construction on that site. That's all I have from engineering.
And as Kevin referenced this evening prior to the council meeting, we had a hearing with regards to the MS4 plan, which we are required to submit. The reason for the hearing was to obtain public comment, which we actually did have some public comment, which was very nice. As Kevin referenced, the report is on our website. Anybody who wishes to comment and provide input is welcome to and encouraged to. They have up until September 2nd, if I'm not mistaken, to provide this. At that point, our engineer will incorporate and/or get in contact with the individual with regards to the comments, add them to the application requirements, and we will be, tonight on my agenda, we will be making a motion to authorize the engineer to finish the application and submit the application by September 17th. And with regards to the parking garage, we will be doing some maintenance to the parking garage on Fridays and possibly over the weekend, over the course of the next month or so, if I'm not mistaken. And with that, there will be sections of the parking garage that will be closed down. The vast majority of the garage will be open, but there will be some sections that will be closed while we're doing the maintenance. And then Councilman Johnson will be bringing up a little bit with regards to the CVS. Thank you, Mr. Mattson. Mr. Solicitor.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I do not have anything to report tonight.
Mr. Mayor.
Police report, we had 680 complaints during the month of July. Also enclosed is a crime log, in case anybody wants to go through the notes. Officers have been and will continue to conduct patrols, patrol checks at the school property on a daily basis. Recent events have led the department to strictly enforce the ordinances surrounding usage of the facilities as well as curfew. And please see the enclosed information to, in quotes, gunpoint robberies, stolen gun, and narcotics that occurred last Friday at 2 p.m. Now my editorial comment on that. Police, we have problems with the opioid situation and with drugs and with criminals trying to rob the stores that sell them. So we have been diligently talking to the businesses that have that to upgrade and improve their safety and their communication, so that something like that, we've had 2 this summer, so that something like that doesn't either doesn't happen again, or it's going to be difficult for someone to be able to do that. So that's something that we were really concentrating on. We just don't want that happening in our town. We've had robberies for many years, and then all of a sudden that, and it's simply drugs and the situation we have. Little note from today. Dining under the stars last night and last week were 2 of the largest crowds we've ever had. And couple that with, during September, usually the crowds are a little lighter because school is back. And the theater opens, this is related, the theater opens with Carousel on September 20th, which happens to be a Wednesday. And they also have a show on the 27th. So we're forming a partnership with the restaurants for a fairly deep discount for people that want to go to Dining Under the Stars September 20th and September 27th, to have a discount both with the restaurant you go to and with the ticket. So it's combining in partnerships that we're trying to do. Never hesitate to call 911. And 911, by the way, is getting a lot quicker. I talked to several, 3 officers last night about 911, where we are. It used to take a while to get from you making the phone call to and actually coming to the police department. But now they think it's under a minute, which is a lot better than it used to be. So technology must be better. So, a couple of those were off the cuff, but that's all.
We do have a proclamation, but we're going to wait for that, and when we have all the people here for the proclamation, we'll stop our agenda items and let the mayor and Kevin get up and do the proclamation. Move on to council committee reports, Recreation and Board of Health. Mr. Boyer.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Just a very brief announcement. Currently, the rec tennis camp is underway, and the hours are, Amy, you said 9 to 10 and
10 to 11.
10 to 11. Yeah, the older kids in the morning.
The younger kids 9 to 10, the older kids 10 to
10 to 11,
11.
yeah. So there's another week of that, so if anyone out there has a youngster that wants to play tennis down at Borough Field, they can certainly still sign up for that. I'm assuming that the movie last Saturday was a success. I wasn't able to attend, but I think the weather was nice, and it was Back to the Future, so that was our last movie of the summer season. And that concludes my report.
Karen, I forgot to mention the last workshop, there's a resident that approached me, speaking of tennis, who would love to see a backboard, tennis backboard, you know, basically something
To
that...
practice
Yeah,
volleys.
and he is willing to donate funds towards that, and so could you, maybe you and I, or maybe you can...
Well, you
present
can have
that
to
to us.
contact Paula. Paula's been out this week, because I was going to meet with her, but she's, I guess, on vacation this week. She'll be back Monday, so
Okay.
he can contact Paula, and when I
I
meet
think
with her
he's
next week.
I think he's wanting us to help facilitate it, so...
Right, yeah, if he donates money to pay for it, I'm sure the public works guys can put it up.
Right.
And, yeah, that would be a great thing, because there's plenty of space on either side of the court to
That's what
do that. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Boyer? Hearing none, we'll move on to Ms. Johnson, Hard MBA in Historic Archives.
Thank you. I have no report for the Historical Architectural Review Board nor the Media Historical Society, but the MBA asked me to mention a couple things that I'd like to tell you. The Main Line today honored Dining Under the Stars as the best of Main Line and Western suburbs. We've had 16 Dining Under the Stars so far this year. And the last day is September 27th, so if you haven't gotten there yet, try to. Wednesday, September 20th is going to be a very busy day, because not only is the theater opening up, but they're also calling it Penn State Day, where it's the 50th anniversary of Penn State Brandywine's campus, and they're celebrating at Dining Under the Stars, and they're going to have a giant slide, and face painting, and animal balloons and music, so it's going to be a mob scene, but it'll be fun. And finally, they said to check out their online merchandise that's available on Shopify at visitmediapa.com. And that's the report from the MBA. Thank you.
Lisa, one thing I forgot to mention, that the last Arts in the Park,
Oh, thank
Saturday, September 9th from 5 to 6:30, Echo del Sur, Andean and Latin American folk music, and that is at Glen Prod Park, so that will be the last of the summer concert series.
Thanks for
So
mentioning
the
that.
last one was canceled, and it wasn't raining or anything. I
The one
know.
last Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah, there were
last time.
unforeseen circumstances where the
Oh,
concert
I
had to
see.
be canceled, and it's going to be rescheduled, but it's not confirmed yet.
Oh. Got
For
some
this
nice
year,
stuff
you
down.
think? For this calendar year?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get it on the website as soon as we have it. Any questions for Ms. Johnson? Hearing none, we'll move on to my report. As I do every month, I am going to encourage the residents of the borough and surrounding communities who would be interested in volunteering service to our media fire company. They are always in need of volunteers for either firefighters and or administrative help. The need for volunteers is getting greater every day, and it will be reflected in my report that came from the chief for the month of July. Media Fire Company had 24 runs. 11 were in media, 13 were mutual aid, which means we were assisting other fire departments. 2 we were not able to respond to the fact that we had no volunteers who could show up for the alarm. I've indicated this in the past. This is becoming a more and more serious matter that the borough needs to start to take a look at. I think we need to take a very serious look at this, particularly when it starts to become budget time, thinking of the future. We also had 4 light manpower responses, and that means that we had 3 or less firefighters on the truck for a fire, which is a difficult situation for the volunteers. It limits what they can do and what they can't do. So once again, I'm going to encourage anybody who would be interested. You do not need to be a media resident. You simply need to be someone who would be interested in serving and would appreciate you coming out. Now I just need to find my agenda again so we can come back. Moving to agenda items, I would have Resolution 2017-27, and that is the adoption of our 537 Sewage Facility Special Study Plan. This is a fancy way of saying this is something that is required by the Commonwealth that we perform. We have done the study, so I'd make a motion, or I would make a motion that we pass Resolution 2017-27, the adoption of a 537 Sewage Facility Special Study Plan. That is in the form of a motion.
Second.
The motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion with regards to the motion? All those in favor of passing Resolution 2017-27, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. With regards to, second on my agenda is the passage of Resolution 2017-28, bid award for municipal vehicle auction. This is an online auction, which we were very pleased that we sold a 2002 International trash truck for $7,000. I'm not sure who purchased it, but someone has it, and I believe it was from Western Pennsylvania, if I'm not mistaken, another municipality. So it's going to have a drive out the turnpike, and some other community will use it for another 10 years. So I'd make a motion that we pass a Resolution 2017-28 for the bidding of the municipal vehicle auction for $7,000 for a 2002 trash truck.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion with regards to the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor of passing Resolution 2017-28, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. Last is, this will be a motion to authorize our engineer to complete the MS4 application, in which we had a hearing earlier this evening with regards to the application, and then during the engineer's report, the engineer gave us a great Cliff Notes version of the requirements. Long story short, we are required by DEP to start to try to reduce the amount of sediment that gets into our waterways. Right now, it is estimated that the borough puts in 500,000 pounds. Correct me if I'm wrong?
That's the estimated total based on DEP's
Correct.
tabulations, that's correct.
And we need to reduce that by 10%, or drop in 50,000 pounds. Currently, one of the areas that we are already doing and have been doing for years is the use of a street sweeper. And we have some other areas in which we are going to be looking at to do the reduction. During the public hearing, many members of the council said this is something that we also need to start to educate our residents a little bit more. There are things that we can do that may not be part of the tabulation that the DEP requires, but there are things that we can do as residents to stop having some of these pollutants going into our streams. So with that, I make a motion that we authorize our engineer to finalize the application of our MS4 application. We will be taking still public comment until September 2nd, and then the engineer will prepare the application. I would ask that he get a draft out to members of council, but submit it prior to September 17th, and that's in the form of a motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion with regards to the motion? All those in favor of authorizing the engineer to prepare the application for our MS4 application, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. Moving on to Community Development, Personnel and Media Arts Council, Mr. Hall is not here tonight, and Ms. Amy Johnson has volunteered to be the expert resident tonight with regards to community development.
Thank you. All right, so just one item on President Hall's agenda is resolution number 2017-29 for the application for traffic signal approval regarding changes to the traffic signal plans, including restriping Baltimore Ave to add a center turn lane, providing a left turn to both approaches of Baltimore Avenue, showing revised access points on Baltimore Avenue, and shifting the Baltimore Avenue signal heads and signs to line up with the new lane configuration. I couldn't memorize that, so I needed to remember it. So I make that in the form of a motion.
I'll second that motion. I think to add on, that also what the borough will be doing is it will be modifying that signal to be a camera signal. Many of our current signals are triggered by a wire mechanism, but we've recognized that they get beat up, snow plowed, things of that nature. So as we can, we're upgrading our systems to have a camera type system that will see when there are cars at the intersection to have the light change from green to red. That will be done on I believe, our dime, but while the project's being done, we'll be doing that. So there has been, the motion's been made and seconded with regards to Resolution 2017-29. Is there any discussion with regards to that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of passing Resolution 2017-29 for the application for traffic signal approval modifications at Baltimore Avenue, SR 2016, and Radnor Street and Baltimore Avenue, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. We're going at a record pace this evening, ladies and gentlemen. We have to slow things down a little bit.
You're almost here.
Perfect. I'll start to talk very slow. Mr. Williamson is out this evening, and the other Ms. Johnson has volunteered to take care of the payment of the bills and the finance, library, and public safety report. Ms. Johnson.
Thank you. I have no report for the library or public safety, but I do have, the first motion I'd like to make is to ratify the payment of the bills. And we pay the bills once a month from our four funds. The first one is the general fund for $201,106.69. The recreation fund paid out $4,719. Liquid fuels fund paid out $110,383.25. And the capital fund paid out $54,478.77. Grand total of $370,687.71.
Motion's made. I will second that motion. Is there any discussion with regards to payment of our bills? I think as everyone sees, the liquid fuels fund was relatively high, but also you have to recognize that many of our streets were paved, so we use our liquid fuels funds to pay for the paving of our streets and boroughs. So that's, next month we'll probably be down to close zero, and by January there won't be anything on that line item. Motion's made and seconded. Discussion, any further discussion? All those in favor of paying the bills, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you. Resolution number 2017-30 is a mid-year budget update. We have a resolution listed here. It'll be published on the website for you to review. But it's an update of line-by-line item of the budget that we do, because you can imagine when we create the budget the previous year of before, for example, in 2017, the budget was created in late 2016. We can't forecast everything perfectly. So there's pluses and minuses throughout. So to summarize, I won't read every gory detail here, but to summarize, the general fund's operating revenues, we expect them to go up higher than budget by $48,800, mostly coming from the Earned Income Tax Fund. Though the expenses are also going up by $48,800 as well, and we have to make sure that the budget is always balanced. Majority of that is increased dollars from part-time officer charges. We have a lot of the part-time officers working part-time at events, for example, Dining Under the Stars. It's great success, but we want it to remain safe. So part of the additional expenses is the additional officers working, but part of the increase in the revenues is us being reimbursed by the people holding the events. They pay the borough back. So it's just an increase of revenues and an increase of expenses. There's also an increase to some extent of legal services higher than we had predicted due to a personnel issue and the
Looking at real estate.
the negotiation of, I couldn't come up with a word, negotiation of the union contract this year with the police. The capital fund revenue has also gone up a bit. We had some leftover money from a grant, and we paid a temporary easement for construction that we hadn't anticipated. And we transferred over $600,000 out of the capital reserve fund to pay for some of the additional expenses that we are adding to this budget too. This is where the substantial money is coming from. We have additional capital purchases for the Borough Hall, the generator, the new elevator, and the boiler. They were supposed to be spent last year, but they are spent in this year's budget, so it's a timing difference. As well as a project that we are working on to build a sally port, kind of like a carport, if you will, for the police force in the parking lot. And there's also going to be some drainage work being done, because it ends up being a nightmare in the wintertime when it rains and then it freezes and there's lots of ice. So that's being corrected as well. That's adding approximately $265,000 to the budget. We purchased a piece of land on 5th and Broom Mall. That was not anticipated in the budget, so that's $361,000 that we're adding. And then there's a couple other small minor items for a grand total of $685,000 increase in expenditures in the capital funds expenses. Again, the offset is the revenues coming from our savings account, if you will. The last adjustment to the budget in the mid-year is the liquid fuels funds revenue. We're increasing that by $5,000 and turning around and increasing the expenses by $5,000 because we will be paving more. As Paul had said earlier, we're doing a lot of paving. So all that information, I make that in a form of a motion to pass resolution 2017-30.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion with regards to the motion. Just like to clarify, I mean, with the Sally Port was in the 16 budget, didn't get around to it. We had some money allocated. The balance has been put in for the 2017 budget, I believe. So, and it's still, we did not anticipate the drainage costs with the original projection and cost for the Sally Port. We did not have drainage in there. So that's, I think that the addition is more like a $65,000 difference. I think that's with regards to the drainage.
Right.
Okay.
So the additional drainage is $65,000.
But we did have the other funds. And the Sally Port, you know, that is a little bit more than a carport. What it is it's an enclosure that when the police bring in a prisoner, right now we have to open the car and they're in our parking lot from the car until they come to the police station. The Sally Port will be a secure facility in which the car will drive into, gates will close, then we bring out the prisoner before we bring them in so that there's no chance that the prisoner cruises down 4th Street and gets away. Something that we wanted to do 20 years ago when the borough purchased this property, just didn't have the money for it. Like government, it only took us 20 years to get around to doing it, but we're doing it. So, any other discussion with regards to the motion? All those in favor of passing resolution 2017-30 with regards to the mid-year budget update, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you. And the last item on Peter's agenda that I have is a mass gathering permit, which is right here. This is from the Media Elementary Parent-Teacher Group. They're having a welcome back to school celebration and potluck. They do this every year. And it's scheduled for September 15th. They'll set up at 4:15, break down by 8:30. The event is actually from 6 to 8. And it's between Front and State on Edgemont. They do this every year. The way they're describing it is an event for students and their families, and tables will be set up, pizza and drinks provided, and families bring the other food. And they expect 400 people to attend.
It is a packed event.
Wow. And there will be amplified music, but it's a small sound system, so that's fine. Okay, and no alcohol.
I hope not.
So, I make a motion to pass the mass gathering permit, to approve the mass gathering permit for
Second.
the media elementary parent teacher.
I second that motion. Is there any discussion with regards to the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of passing the mass gathering permit for Media Elementary School back to school potluck supper, Friday, September 15th, 2017, rain date September 22nd, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it.
And that's all I have for Peter's agenda.
And I won't ask for any questions because you won't want to have to answer Peter's questions.
I can answer.
Any questions for Amy, or excuse me, Lisa? Hearing none. Moving on to Fair Trade, Shade Tree, EAC, and Farmers Market. Ms. Amy Johnson.
Thank you. So all of my committees have gone on summer break. I haven't really known what to do with myself this month with not really any committee meetings to attend. However, I would like to just announce that I might have mentioned, definitely I've been talking about it in workshop, but maybe not so in a legislative meeting, that as always, the EAC is always making efforts to find new ways to reduce waste. And so there's a committee out within the EAC that's working on another form of recycling, and that is composting, which is basically recycling food scraps and green waste. And so the committee is planning for and doing work and research on the possibility of a 2018 pilot program, which will be offered to 150 borough residents. And that's going to be in an effort to decide on the feasibility of how we could possibly create a borough-wide composting program. So I'm encouraging all residents to look, so there's going to be a survey that's going out in the beginning of September. I'm not quite sure of the exact date, but it might be going out before our next legislative, where I won't, I want to be able to make it clear to you in case it goes out before the September meeting, to take that survey. Keep an eye, we'll be posting it on the Borough website, Facebook, EAC. We're going to be making an effort to kind of get the word out and get the link to that survey out to in as many places as possible. But I just wanted to make the announcement to keep an eye out for it. And please, all residents, please take the survey because we want to hear your voice on the possibility of this exciting new initiative. That concludes my report.
Any questions for Ms. Johnson? There's one thing I did want to bring up, I forgot, this isn't a question, this is the EAC made me think. I'm not sure how many residents have recognized it, but over the course of the last few weeks, the borough has changed out all our street lights for LED lights. I think they've made a tremendous amount of difference with regards to the increased brightness that it provides on the street, but really doesn't, at least with me, hasn't affected the brightness inside of my house. I have a pole right out in front of my bedroom. The biggest thing which I want to sit there and say, it will significantly reduce the cost to the borough. It is our anticipation that within the next 7 years we'll have paid back the cost of the lights, and then the lights were projected to last another 7 to 10 years after that. So far, the only thing I've heard is good news. If there is a light that seems to be too light or too bright, we do have the ability to have our electrician come and dim it down a little bit. So if there is somebody that has one that is a little bit too bright, please give us a call, drop us an email, and we will drop down the brightness a little bit.
One of my friends is complaining that it's not wide enough. It's bright, and he wants it wider.
It's actually wide. They are significantly wider than the existing, than our old lights were. So I can't make everybody happy, but we try.
No, he likes the light.
With that, I will move on. I just wanted to, EAC made me think about it.
Yeah, thanks, Paul.
Public Relations and Historical Archives, Ms. Dixon.
Yes, that's me. Okay, the Historic Archives has a nice little volunteer young man who's still in school, but for his summer vacation, he's doing some work in the archives, and Adam and well, everybody is really happy. Takes his radio up. His name is Nick, and I'm sure I'm mispronouncing his last name. Ofer, high school student, lives right here between Monroe and Jefferson, and he's volunteering for the summer, which is great. As far as the publicity, so I even called the mayor. I was there Sunday with the rally that was put together very quickly, and it was a nice interfaith, a really large group of people for such a quick, wasn't it? And we were probably the first in the greater Philadelphia area. I know Westchester came practically right after that, but we were on the 6 o'clock news. And then later, by the 11 o'clock news, there were other places. And so our mayor spoke, which was, I'm with you, made me very proud. And he was saying, under these trees, we have had a few rallies, but this is the best. And I think that we were saying, you know, hate does not live here. So that was really good. And it did make it as, thank you, Susan. It made it to the newspapers, and it made it to the television. That media's rally was very successful, positive. I see that the county has done something, made a statement, the county council. But we were right there on the spot. And that's all I have.
Any questions for Ms. Dixon? Before we get into the last public comment privilege of the floor, I'd ask the mayor, Mr. Boyer, to stand up to the microphone. We have a great presentation tonight. This is very, very exciting.
Yeah. It's a good thing to have something.
Excuse me, Chi-Chi, but... So, Media Borough Council is very pleased to honor the Penn Crest and Marathon team, who recently, I think it was a few weeks ago, won the 2017 International Championship. So, but first I'd like to introduce the members. I hope I don't do this well. Cole, Borough, Thailand Gale, did I pronounce that correctly? Dennis Harsh, and Abby Schwartz. Rachel Hughes apparently couldn't be here tonight. And their advisor, Mr. Mark Samalenko. So they won their 4th national championship, or I guess international championship. They've also won 13 state championships, so they have dominated this competition over the years. The last competition was in Maryland. They competed against schools from 45 states, 7 Canadian provinces, and 2 Chinese provinces. So it was truly an international competition, so a very extensive achievement. Some of the comments I read, the judges were extremely impressed with their critical thinking skills. And having worked with college students for 30 years, I know that that's kind of few and far between. So I commend you having those skills, and they'll go a long way. So some of the topics they competed in were soils, aquatic ecology, forestry, wildlife, and agricultural soil and water conservation. So kind of broad range of ecological topics. And as I said, they have dominated this competition over the years. And after a few weeks break, they start preparation again, from what I understand, for next year.
That's the eye roll.
So I'm going to turn this over to Mayor McMahon and let him read the proclamation.
Okay. Thank you. Before I read the proclamation, I want to note many of you have cameras and are probably filming this, but also Dave, our camera person, is also filming it, so you can pick up a copy, Dave, usually like next week or so. We're happy to do that for you.
We need to have some drones here.
So what?
Okay, go ahead.
Sarah usually tells me when I go ahead. Proclamation reads, recognizing Penncrest High School National Environthon Champions. Whereas the 2017 NCF Environthon, a leading environmental, it's easy, this education program run by the National Conservation Foundation, put the skills of 54 student teams representing the United States, Canada, and China to the test of the world's largest high school level natural resources education competition. Whereas Penncrest High School completed the national competition and were honored for their advanced critical thinking skills and mastery of soils, aquatic ecology, forestry, wildlife, and agricultural soil, and water conservation stewardship, and they were declared the 2017 National Envirothon champions. Therefore, now be it resolved, the Borough Media hereby congratulates Pencrest and the coaches on being declared the 2017 National Envirothon champions. Or somebody can invite me.
Put him on the spot.
Oh, goodness means yes. Okay, how about the tap? Dennis, say your name.
I'm Dennis Harsh. I graduated this year. I've been part of Envirothon for 4 years now. I just think it's important to note, Mr. Samalenko and Mrs. Kuntz, our other advisor who couldn't be here tonight, they were inducted into the Envirothon Hall of Fame. This was the 30th annual competition, and so far as I know, there's only one other advisor who's in this Hall of Fame. It's mostly people who have built up the program, and they just recognize how much they do. We wouldn't be here without them, and it's a really fantastic program that I've been proud to be a part of. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. I just really want to say, though, the kids who do this put an incredible amount of time and effort in this, and it's really like any other competition. You know, people look at sports and things, and Envirothon's not really so much of a spectator sport as it is like other types of events and so forth, but they work just as hard on it. They give up pretty much all their summer for it and most of the year for it. So, and they really work together on it, and it's an incredible thing to see them do and all throughout the year and get ready for the competition. I'm very proud of them for doing this. So thank you very much.
Before you sit down, at our workshop meeting, we had conversation with regards to this, and we were all so impressed. And as you just referenced, it's not a spectator sport, but what we would like to do is, at our Halloween parade, which a tremendous amount of young kids come to, we're going to ask the Town Talk, who is the sponsor of the parade, if we could have you all come back and be the grand marshals of the parade. I think something like that is important because we do need to have, and I'm going to say the little kids, be able to take a look at somebody and say, I want to be like you when I'm a senior at Pencrest. So if you could make it. Thank you very much and congratulations. Bottom of my mind. Okay, last but not least, public comment and privilege of the floor. Any resident or anybody who wishes to stand up and have a comment, please come to the microphone. You are required to state your name and address. I'm not like Brian, I'm going to go going once, going twice, no. Okay, with that, I'd make a motion to adjourn.
Second.